Well, hello everyone. We're preparing for community live Q&A. And waiting for other participants. Hi, Eugene.
Hey Eugene, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. So basically, we are live everywhere in community plus the Discord, or not Discord, but TikTok. So basically, we are doing community Q&A sessions from startup founders to investors. And
Awesome.
basically, let's start, I guess. So
Sure.
I guess you have quite a lot of questions on your side. So let's have fun.
All right. All right. So, since we're gathered here to discuss startups, obviously the first question that we need to focus on is about ideas, right? When you have an idea for a business, how do
Mhm,
you evaluate if it's, necessary or unnecessary before you actually start investing time and money into it?
mhm.
What's the secret sauce?
Well, basically, this is the same system we used in our project, in our companies, in startups, and we spent like in total like $400,000 for like burning some projects, right? So basically, first where you start is starting with the problem from your potential clients, potential audience, and basically the questions from people you work with that, hey, we have this problem. Do you know anyone who is solving that, or can do you know any type of solution for that? This is ideal situation because basically you already know that this person has some problem and he cannot find the solution, the product for that. And in this case, you have two options, like either find the solution for him or create the solution by yourself. Next part can be the creating the solution or product or idea based on your problems, because it's all known in Europe and US when people tell it, hey, I had this problem and I didn't know what to do, and eventually I created the tool for myself. So basically, I'm the first customer for this product. And after that, I just found the similar people and created the product for them as well and enhanced it. So, yeah, basically, everything goes from the problem, from the demand, and then offering the solution for this problem.
Okay. You mentioned that one of the potential ways to evaluate an idea is to look for problems that you are facing.
Yeah.
So that also raises the question, like, what are the signs that a problem that you're focusing on and a product that you're building is actually a problem nobody cares about? Do you ever face these challenges? And how do you tell that, okay, this isn't really something valuable?
Yeah, we faced these challenges, especially on one of the projects we spent in total like 100K in 2020. 2020, yes. The project was called Nothing. You can actually Google it in like web archive. So basically, the situation was similar. So we created the project. I personally created the project for myself because I saw that there is a demand for private investors who might search for different public companies to invest in and need to understand how to do this right, how to actually find the right information about the company, etc. But the further we go, the more we understand that yes, there are some systems and problems and projects on the market, but at the same time, no one actually cared so much about that, because on the side of the professional investors, you have these, if you're familiar with that, you have like Bluebird terminal, you have like um, intelligence IQ, if I remember that correctly. So basically, the tools which cost you like $20,000, $30,000 per year, and they do everything and even more. And on the other hand, if you would like to compete with low tier, low ticket products, which we wanted to do, uh, you have like newbie investors. So people who just want quick gains, they saw somewhere in the X or YouTube that, hey, this tool, this company, this stock will be like 10x next week or next month, and they just pour their money there. So we just found out that this product was actually not needed at all. So we just blew up the money.
Okay, and what hinted to the fact that this product was unneeded? Like, were there any specific metrics that you saw? What
Yeah,
exactly
we actually
happened?
saw the main metrics which we saw. It is the same with other startups as well. Is the customer acquisition cost and the average check for the product, because basically we had the product with the price of $29 to $49. We just tested that, and at the same time we saw that the customer acquisition cost, we were promoting this product on the for the Europe, for US, it cost us like $50 to $70 to acquire the customer, and the customer actually dropped on the second month. So basically we were losing money on every transaction we acquired the customer. And basically these were two main metrics we tried to stick with, and this was our main point with that.
So the customers that you weren't able to retain, were you able to get any feedback from them to understand why they were dropping?
We actually tried to receive feedback because we basically had multiple customers at that time. They were from like US, Brazil. We received the feedback from the community because we had the community of investors at that time. So, but the main feedback was like, yes, this is a cool tool to have, but at the same time, um, there are other competitors which give you little more features that you currently offering. And we actually, this is why we stopped on like 80 to 100K investment, which we just blew up, because we saw that, okay, we already invested like 60 to 80K dollars for that, and we need more features. The more features we need, the more money we need to pour in. The more money we need to pour in, we need more money on marketing. And we cannot, in this case, increase the price for the product because the competitors stick with a specific price, and we will lose even more money for acquiring the customer because the ROI in that case is completely crap. So yeah, this was the main feedback because we were trying to create the professional tool for newbie investors, but make it professional. But at the same time, the professional services costs much more.
Gotcha, gotcha. And speaking of feedback, by the way, I'm curious to know your thoughts. When should you actually listen to what users are saying, and when do you think you should ignore them?
Um, I think you still need to listen users, and it happens all the time. And you need, in most cases, listen to your users. However, I would recommend to prioritize the things and ideas which they are saying, and we try to do this all the time. So basically we gather the feedback with the community we have, like business community. The link will be in the description for those who are listening us in TikTok. um, we receive the feedback from the investors, we receive the feedback from the partners, and everything is important because these guys represent different sides or different lenses which we watch through. But we try to prioritize it and understand whether it will be useful for the general audience we have for our product, or will it be useful for the general target audience we would like to reach. Because in other cases, if you just go and hear all the feedback and do whatever everyone wants, you will be so like not diversified, but basically you create like broadened product for people who, yes, might find it useful, but there is no clear like solution for the specific audience. And
Hmm.
eventually, if these people just give you the feedback but they do not pay, this is another indicator that there's something happened here, and you need to consider whether you need to implement these features or not at all.
So how do you prioritize like what feedback to actually pay attention to and put as the first step in your roadmap to further development?
So I guess the first part is to understand whether it's like the paying customers or not, or whether they are actually stopped from being paying customers due to this problem they actually offered as an idea. The second part is the second point is the size of this potential client or partner or the person who is providing the feedback. Because basically, if it's like the corporation, like I don't know, like Meta or I don't know, some huge startups, and you would like to get them as the potential client, it is easier to do the custom integration for them, right? But if these
Mhm.
guys are like freelancers and they would like, and this is one person who wants like custom features, and you still do not understand and do not know for sure whether these people will use it or pay for that, it's kind of tricky thing here.
For sure, for sure. And speaking of like paying customers, where do you actually find your first customers, and how do you do that if your budgets are limited? Are there any specific social networks that you're using? Are there any techniques that you do? Do you just go through your friends and be like,
Mhm.
"Hey, I'm building this thing. Want to give it a try?" What are your approaches to it?
Well, basically, if you go on the approach which I described before, so basically creating the solution from the demand and the problem side, you already might have some first people who might be interested in that. And these people might be your early birds or early customers because they told you the problem which needs to be solved.
Mhm.
If we see and if we have the situation when, for example, you created the product but you do not know anyone who is willing to have it as a product, you have a couple of ways to do this. So first, to post on different platforms like product hunt or Reddit, because it's so active right now. You can post it in your social media if you have any valuable assets for that. For example, like in LinkedIn or Instagram or TikTok, or just doing lives on TikTok and telling that you are answering some questions and you are using your tool as a solution. And basically, this can be also the solution for that, for acquiring first people, first customers. If this doesn't help, the next part can be like outreaching strategies for like LinkedIn or uh, Twitter or X, or like Reddit in DMs, or like cold emails. They still work, don't worry. It really depends on the specific sphere and specific type of company. If you see that this doesn't work, probably you can either work with the content part. So basically, maybe search for the competitors and try to record the videos for you or for YouTube, for TikTok, for Instagram. And if you still see that um, there is no like demand for that, and there are no like competitors, my idea is quite unique. um, Probably I have bad news for you on this stage, because either you need to go back and reiterate and ask specific potential customers about this product, or you created something which unfortunately is not in demand for the market right now.
Mhm. Okay. I want to have ask you a few questions regarding the operations side of a
Yeah.
business. The first one that I wanted to ask is you mentioned customer acquisition costs. What other metrics do you track starting from the first day when you're building something new?
First of all, is like the amount of money we invested in this thing, in the project in general, because this is the most crucial thing. You can have like perfect project, but if you invested like $1 million for that and you like earn so less, it's you are in trouble. So first um, is the budget, the amount of budget. Second of all is the return on investment. So basically, mm, how much, how fast would you recoup your money based on your like projections or first initial numbers. And we go down on the second part. So like second level is the amount of users you have, amount of paid users, the average subscription price, because if you have different tiers, it really depends on the specific type of the tier, right? Second of all, the customer acquisition cost. So how much money are you spending on acquiring the customer? And also, what is the LTV for the specific customer in general, in average? Because basically, if you see that the person spends like $200 on your website or for your project product, but it costs you like $300 to acquire, you are not profitable and you need to reconsider your payment options. So the more data you have in this case, the more you can play with it. And I think these metrics are really important. And of course, the time frames, because it really depends on the affects the time to market. It affects to the next steps and paying wages, salaries to the teams, paying additional contractors for that. So you need to think about this as well.
By the way, speaking of spending, like let's imagine you're a solopreneur that's starting
Yeah,
out a new business idea.
yeah.
Like, how much do you think you should spend per month when you're just starting out? And what would be the key areas to spend your money on? What do you think?
I think the less is better. Ideally is like zero, but we are not in the ideal world. Why is that? Because basically there is this some gap, not gaps, but little trap in the creation of the product. Because the further you go, the more you understand that I need this feature and that feature and this one, and in this case you extend the budget, and psychologically the further you extend the budget, the less um, the more risky it becomes, and the more difficult to drop this, because you already invested so much time and money and effort and energy, and it's still really really hard, and you think maybe this one, maybe one more week, maybe 2 more weeks, maybe 1 more month, but you need to understand how much money you need to spend and put the limit on that. So because due to this right now AI features, etc., you can actually spend it less, like $200, like $500 for creating the project, the product, if you know for sure how to create it. So you're basically familiar with project management, product management, you know about some architecture, etc. If you do not know about that, probably you will spend 4 to 5 or maybe even 10 times more. Okay, 2K, 5K. But it is still less that you would spend if you offer and hire some contractors, because they will charge you like from 20 to 50K for this amount of work. So you can do this. But I would actually focus and recommend to spend the majority of the business money, the budget, for the marketing, or creating anything, any type of engine which can help you to create organic traffic, organic content on autopilot. Because basically, right now, the customer acquisition cost is so much damn high. And you need to consider that. And it will be higher in like in month or maybe in a year. We assume that. So basically, this one. And the more you go, the more you understand that sometimes you do not need money to build a product. You just need the right people for that. So what I mean by that, you can actually go with one of the projects. You know that Jade Rank. So basically, we um, collaborated. Actually, 1 or 2 weeks ago, we collaborated um, with the guys. They are Ukrainian startup, and they provide the lead gen services. They have the community of people like 500 in the Telegram. They have their tools and they have some kind of the team on their side. So we basically collaborated with them for free to promote our product for their community on 500 people, and they like we received a commitment from them that they will be the client. At the same time, they interested to promoting us, and they're interested in collaborating and creating some kind of the multiple product. We didn't spend anything on that. We just outreach them through LinkedIn. It didn't cost us like how much, $15 for LinkedIn Helper or something like that. We didn't use Sales Navigator for that at all. So basically, this is what I mean by just understanding how to do this right. You can actually go to different projects or partners and just collaborate with them. You can participate and negotiate the commission-based sales reps for your project. You can negotiate, for example, some different terms with the bloggers to be representative of your game or brand, because you can go, for example, to a person who has 10, 20, 50, or 100,000 subscribers and tell, hey, would you be interested to be ambassador for my brand? I will give you the revenue share, like 30%, if you bring me a lot of audience. And in some cases, these people will agree, because basically, if you can negotiate the specific terms with the low tier blogger, like for 10 or 15,000 subscribers, it's not so much right now. Everyone is rushing to like thousands or millions of subscribers, and no one is talking to like two to 5,000, right? But these people would like also to earn some money or be like representative of some brands, etc. And they might be interested in your game or your product, etc. So you can partner with them for free if you have the right skills and if you find the right people for that. So it's
Mhm.
not all the time for the money for when you're building the product.
And what do you look for these people?
First of all, acquaintances, the network, because due to the a lot of like experience and meeting different business owners, I guess like last year I reviewed like 300 or 400 businesses, and I spent approximately quite a lot of time on doing that. I meet, I think, more than like 200 to maybe 300 people and different business owners. So you just network with people, and you still think that, hey, this person might be valuable for this one, and I can bring this value to him or her. This is interesting for that one, etc. So just build network. Second of all, it's just outreaching. So basically, I was actually fascinated how Reddit is working right now, because basically you can post almost anything on Reddit, and you can receive a lot of DMs, and you can just go there and just network with people and say, hey, I'm interested in partnering, collaborating, I'm an investor, or maybe I'm a startup owner, let's do something together. And people are open to that, so you don't need any money for that. You receive organic views, organic like comments, etc., and these are real people. So outreaching in LinkedIn as well. So you can outreach people and say, hey, could you please spend 5 minutes with me, or maybe 15 minutes on a call? I just want to ask questions. And by doing that, you can actually build some report for that. So, and acquaintances of acquaintances as well. So basically asking your friends, do you have any people who might be interested in that? And usually they do. And this is how this works. In my case, probably it might be different for others.
Got it. Got it. And by the way, you mentioned so many responsibilities. It's obvious that when we talk about being the founder, you have to juggle multiple duties, right?
Yeah.
And that also leads us to burnout very often.
Yeah.
So, how do you avoid experiencing burnout as you build, scale, and grow your business from idea to execution?
Um, I think the burnout is the main indicator if, for example, you are doing it in a not right direction, or you want like um, so fast results, and you put yourself in the specific circumstances where you're under stress. And that's why in most cases the ideal thing, and it's in the community as well, and we also try to do that. So basically you have your, usually why it happens because either you are run out of budget, or you failed with expectations, or you already promised something to someone and you cannot deliver that, or any other else, because this is, you figure out that this is the project which you are not interested in no more, but you actually promised your team or your like partners, peers, and you told everyone that you will do that, and now you have some kind of the internal feelings that this is not right. The first parts and the first points actually solve pretty quickly, because the perfect idea of this solopreneurship, etc., is to have some stable income or the job where you have on the one side, covering your costs, and having some money for the budget or additional um, expenses for the startup. That's why I told that you need to keep them as low as possible, because in this case, you see that, okay, I spent like $200 for this project. I code it with no code or like AI. It doesn't work out. I don't care. I just move forward and I produce another idea. Now I become smarter. But it's not affected, you are not affected by it so much, because basically you still have the job, you have all the costs covered, etc. um, it's another story when you raise investment like 50K, and you understand that this idea is not right, and then you raise the money. This is what we did actually. It's like was 60K, 60 to 80K. And now you're in trouble, because now you need to reiterate. Now you put yourself in circumstances when you cannot do other things, and now it's like a tricky part. This not, other thing, when you understand that it's not up to you, you just to be honest with yourself. You just understand that you still the pretty damn good in what you've done, because basically you are like 1% of people who actually created something. Not everyone is creating. You one of this little group. But this happens, and you have the statistics, and your startup just failed. Or maybe you are in a position when you are in like death, how this calls, like some valley where you need just to spend extra amount of time, extra amount of efforts, and extra amount of resources to go from this place, right?
Hmm.
And in this case, you need just to decide on yourself whether you are completely honest with yourself, and understand that, hey, I need to just make it a pause. I need to either sell it to other anyone, or just drop it and do other, or I will push to the limits, to the specific point where I understand that this is working or this is not working. And if it's not working, I would just pause and move on. If it's working, it's fine. Or you can just understand that, yes, it's what I would like to do, and you just push and push and push unless you have the first result. But you need to understand what is the initial milestone for that.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I have another question.
Yeah.
So, what do you think you should do as a business owner on your own? What do you think you should delegate to other people? And what do you think should be automated from the first day that you start a business?
It really depends on which type of business you start doing. So if you speak about like offline business, in most cases, um, you usually do it by yourself. So you actually know every detail in the business. It is the same with the AI and SaaS projects, etc. So you basically, ideally, you need to do everything. Ideally, you need to understand the whole details of every piece of your project and product. However, not all the time you can do this, and some people are not technical one, and some people just want to code and just be on their side and delegate the other. In this case, you need a co-founder, and in this case, you probably might look for other person who is really skillful in this specific field, but he doesn't want to do what you actually are passionate about. And this is how you create a partnership and create the specific like project. Like it can be the side project, it can be the startup, etc. If I speak about automation, the main point of automation is to have the process. So basically, do it by yourself with your hands. Understand what is the input and output for that. Second of all, is understand that either it can be delegated or not. If it can be delegated, to find the person, okay. If it is not delegated, then you can find the specific tools, automations, how to do this. but you understand the process and you work through it on your own. Because in other case, you will have the situation when, hey guys, I would like to have an automation which will do everything for me, and I need, it's like in the meme, I need $1 million. Please tell me, ChatGPT, how to make $1 million tomorrow. Pretty fast with low risk. Yeah. So basically, it happens because you do not understand, or just the person that doesn't understand the basic concept. So AI is not like replacing you; it's enhancing your project, your flows, everything which you already have and created.
Something that you mentioned, by the way, you mentioned looking for a co-founder. How do
Mhm.
you know that you need a co-founder, and what kind of skills would a perfect co-founder need to have for you to trust him?
This is actually from the Y Combinator thing. They actually did some kind of study, or maybe other accelerators did that as well. So ideally, there are several skill sets which need to be presented in the startup. It doesn't matter what is the size of it, what is the sphere, etc. So first is like the negotiation part. So the person or the group of people who is representing, who doing the like presentations, who doing the commitments with others, who find looking for partners. So basically, the front man or front woman. So this usually requires the like leadership role or like leadership skills. And next, the second part, the second skill set is the technical skill set. If we're speaking about the creating of SaaS or like a IT project, should be the person who actually knows how to do this technically. He can do it by himself, or he can do this with AI. Doesn't matter. Next skill set is like marketing part. It's combined with the first skill set because yes, you can negotiate some deals and you can raise investments, but who the hell will promote this thing? Because in other way, you could just create a product. You spend like $100,000 and you have the product which is unknown how to promote. You do not know where to start, what's your target audience, etc., etc., and what's next. So marketing skills are really important. It's like more than 65-70% of the success in now in IT as well. And the next part is I think the final skill sets is the final skill, finance. So basically understanding the numbers, analytics, and finance. Because basically, yes, you can have the leadership who can just do the commitments. You can have the technical person. You can have the marketing person. But if you don't have the person who is responsible for like the finance, or actually it cannot be like every skill set is for the one person. It can be one person who combines like two or three skill sets. That's why usually you have like two or three people in the startups, because one covers one part and the second covers, usually one covers the leadership, communications, maybe sometimes marketing, because usually it's like the um, creative part, and the second covers like technical realization plus management, operational management, and sometimes finance, because finance requires numbers and analytics, and usually these are two founders in a team. And sometimes if the project needs to be like high in scale, yes, you can hire additional people. It can be 3 to 4 founders, but usually even like most accelerators and investors looking for this type of skill sets, because in other way you are missing the specific important parts behind the table, and as a result your project in some cases there is high probability that your project will not succeed.
Got it. One more question that I want to ask
Okay,
you for today.
sure.
As a person who has spoken to many businesses, who has built his own startups, both successful and non-successful,
Mhm.
if you could name the top three mistakes that founders make, what would they be and why?
This is actually what I always tell business owners and startup owners. And actually, these were mistakes which we did in our first endeavors. And in some points in the project, we like started in 2020, etc., in the beginning. So first is like lack of marketing at all. You just need to understand that right now there is oversupply of the goods and services. And you compete, if you are in the IT world, you are competing with the whole world, and you're competing with guys in India or Pakistan who are not sleeping at all. Now, never, almost never. And they actually can do the same what you are doing cheaper and faster. So the main thing which you need to understand that you need to market that. You need to know the person who you actually need to sell it. So first, marketing, because it's crucial. And second is unit economy. If we speak about the any type of business, any type of startup, product, service, doesn't matter. You need to understand the numbers, how much money you need to earn from one client, what's the average paycheck, what's the customer acquisition cost, what is the cost structure for your tool and service in terms of like APIs or creation or like purchasing the product if you're reselling it in e-commerce or like in logistics, it doesn't matter. You need to understand that there are certain percentages which need to be kept. For example, like in IT, we see that, and it's like the the standard for us. We see in a SaaS that no more than 30% should be your customer acquisition cost. For example, if I have the subscription like with a LTV of like $200, it means that my maximum customer acquisition cost should be 60. Ideally 30. It's like if I want to recoup the money from the first month. Uh, so knowing the numbers. And I guess the third part is to understand that you need to reiterate your project, your product need to be rebuilt, I think several times. In the first project, and actually right now, I don't know, we just rebuilt JDrank, which we had in one of the companies. We rebuilt like 2 or 3 times based on the feedback from the customers, based on the approaches, based on the different fields, because um, the more feedback you receive, the more you understand that you need to change something in the architecture, and that's why using no code and like AI coding is important because it's speed up so much. Yeah, I guess these are three main points here.
Got it. Perhaps there are some questions from the community that you could also answer.
I think not now. I think there will be some questions and comments in the comment section in the post, and people we will look through that and definitely will answer. Yes, maybe any other words from your side, Eugene?
I'm just thinking about marketing, basically. Something that you mentioned rings true from my personal experience. I've
Hmm.
spoken to a lot of founders that are very passionate about their products. You know, they can talk about them for hours and they can talk about the most techiest details about what they're building to the
Hmm.
point that you just can't stop them. But when it comes to marketing, like one thing that I would tell them that how do you explain this to people who don't geek out on this as much as you do? How do you explain it to people who just want a similar solution, but they don't want to listen to hour-long lectures? They want to just get the benefits. They want, clear dosage of information that
Hmm.
makes sense to them, and they want to get it here and now so that they can start using it. And I think that this is a big problem that a lot of tech founders have is that they basically they have great ideas. Don't get me wrong, but they can't really explain it in a way that even a child would understand it, right? And even a child would be like, hey,
Yeah.
this is something interesting. I want to give it a try.
This is the most one of the lessons which we actually learned in a hard way with like paying a lot of money. Um, Usually, your target clients and customers are not like you, and they do not know the technical things which you know about your product, so they don't care. They just care that your product solves their problem, and they might have the different terms and terminology that they are speaking to the peers on the websites or on the business, and it is completely different from what you might expect. And that's why adding to your words that sometimes people try to explain in technical words in difficult terms, how to use the product and what is the product is about. But basically, target audience doesn't understand it at all because they are not tech savvy people. They just want this just to plug and to receive the outcome.
And sometimes it's also very difficult to understand, how to make it easy for people without getting that feedback from people.
Yeah,
Because like you
definitely,
said,
definitely.
if we think about ourselves like we are these smart people that are building a business, that we think we know what people want, but basically every business is a hypothesis, right? You say that, okay, people have this problem, I have this kind of a solution, people will be ready to pay for it because it solves their problems. And
Mhm.
so you go and test it out, and basically you look at the metrics, you look at what people are telling you, you look at how they interact with your services, and sometimes you think that you have a solid solution. And we often see this in many software as a service companies, that the product that they focus the most on was actually the least relevant product for people, while a small feature that they've built in, they kind of baked it in, they didn't really expect it to be very popular, but it turned out to be the most wanted feature of their service. And ultimately, they had to pivot around it. They had to provide that specific service. They had to focus more on that because that was what the people wanted. And I think that it's very important as a founder to be flexible, to be open to feedback, and to not have this mindset that, what I'm building is definitely what people want. I'm 100% sure about it. I'm 100% right.
Mhm.
Sometimes you do have to stick to your guns. Sometimes you do have to kind of trust your gut about certain things. But at the same time, if you're always going to be blind to what people want, you're most likely going to create a product that not many people will actually want. And it's important to avoid that trap as a founder, and to actually look more at what do people actually want? What do people tell you? How do people engage with whatever you're building? Because sometimes people can also tell you something which isn't necessarily true, right? I've seen some interesting videos of small, like creative solutions that were built back in the early 2000s.
Mhm.
And there was a company that stood out because they basically recorded a room of people watching like the animated short that they built showing their service. And instead of asking them directly, what do you think? Are you going to buy this? Are you going to use this? A person was actually watching this footage of people like watching a video and making notes at what point of time did they react and how did they react. And so basically, he was trying to figure out their body language to understand which aspects were actually interesting to them and which aspects made them bored or made them lose interest. I don't know if it's possible right now to simulate that kind of experience. What do you think about it? Do you think that we're able to actually like get that body language and get that deeper understanding of what do people want?
I think yes, you can, but there are privacy settings for that. But without any jokes, I think that yes, you can analyze this thing, but not directly. First, you can analyze it through the heat maps on your project product on the page, and in most cases, people do that, and businesses do that. In the second part, you can actually analyze it based on the customer development interviews by just recording and going live or just creating calls with them. And the third one is kind of technological part. Is just having the website which uses your webcam and tracks your in anonymous way how you respond and interact with one or other mm, elements of the website, I would say. But usually people use just one first and second option. And when you actually deal with the like thousands of people on your website as a traffic, if we speak about like mm, medium businesses, right? And usually sometimes small as well. Um, you need to just anonymize and generalize the outcome.
Got it. Got it. Thank you very much for inviting me here, Eugene. It's a big pleasure talking to you. I've
Yeah,
learned
me too. Me
quite
too.
a few interesting things from you right now, and it gave me
Yeah.
a lot of food for thoughts as well, since I also tend to kind of overcomplicate things in my own head when it comes to my own business ideas. Hopefully, I can break them down and decompose them into some simpler ideas and talk more about them in the coming months. But I do appreciate the time. I do appreciate these sessions, and I look forward to the next one that's coming next week.
Yeah, you're welcome. For everyone who is watching it in the recording part, we will try to do this on a regular basis, on a weekly basis. So if you have any questions or if you would like to be like presented on live and present your project and speak about that, please write your information about the project in the comments below and go to the specific post about how to submit your project to the community review live, and we will speak about that directly. For those guys who are in TikTok and who is watching, this is how we do our live sessions in the community. So basically, if you are interested, go to our community. It's completely free. The link is in my description. So, and we are welcoming you to this community where we speak about business, startups. You can meet different business owners. You can meet investors as well, and you can understand how to scale your startup better. But this is it for today, and thank you, Eugene, so much for speaking. And we'll be in touch, and see you soon, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, bye.